Hi, have a look at this Microsoft Power Automate community thread. So here what the user looking is, there is an Excel file. There are certain rows which the user wants to filter out, then create separate files related to those rows. So that means here I have an Excel sheet called employee.xls, and I have got 4 columns here: ID, email, department, and postcode. You can see here I have got HR, then sales. So that means we need to find the HR department rows first, then create the table associated with that, create the Excel sheet associated with that, push those rows into that, and then again filter the sales, then create another Excel sheet. So I'm going to call it the Excel sheet as hr.xls and sales.xls. Okay, so let's start creating the flow then. So here I'm going to demonstrate using the manual trigger, and you can change this to when an Excel sheet is created, then you need to create a table associated with that, then only Power Automate can read it. So if we don't have the table, how to create dynamically, I got another video in my YouTube channel. You can have a look and watch it. Here I'm going to cover the Excel sheet, which I assume the user already had created that table. Okay. So before we go into that, we need to do some technique here, because we are going to create dynamically few Excel files. So for that, first I'm going to go into my SharePoint or in OneDrive. You can what you could do is you could make an Excel sheet like new Excel sheet, something like this Excel workbook. Yeah. So this is going to create a blank Excel sheet now. Okay. Once that's done, just close that because we want a blank one. So that's done. And you can see here that my the blank Excel sheet is going to appear here. Let me refresh it. Okay, here it is, book.xls. So you can see here that's in my test aj doc lib directory. So the technique we need to do here is we need to go to the SharePoint connector, then look for get content, get file content using path. Here it is. Select the SharePoint site address, then the file path. So that's under test aj doclib, and that's book.xlsx. Here it is. I'm going to add a compose here. Then get the file content. Here it is. That's the first step. Let me save my flow. Then run this, because we need this compose output to utilize for creating the other contents. Okay, the other Excel sheets. Click manual and test. Okay, so you can see here, that's output we got. Just copy the output or input. In the compose, it's both going to be the same always. So just press Ctrl A and Ctrl C. That will copy everything in the clipboard. Edit, remove the file content, paste that. So that's a blank Excel sheet here. Okay, then delete this. We don't need this anymore. All right, now rename this to blank Excel content. Okay, that's the first step. Right, the next step is we need to read the Excel sheet. So I'm going to use the Excel connector, list the rows present in a table. My location I'm going to select from my OneDrive. That's where I stored my file. Next is a file. The file, it's in the directory called demo. Employee, this file, that's a file. As I mentioned, you can dynamically create this table also. Watch my other videos in video in my YouTube from my YouTube channel. Yeah. And here I'm selecting the table associated with that. In Power Automate, for reading an Excel sheet, you need to create a table. Without that, you can't read it. Okay. Right. The next thing is, because there are duplicated values for the HR departments, that's the one we want to find, make it unique, then we can utilize for the filter. Yeah, that's the idea about it. So for that, I'm going to use the select here. Okay, under the data operation, you can see the select. It is. Okay, the value from the previous output. Then here we only want the, click on the T sign here. See this T sign here? Switch map to text mode and place your cursor here and map the department. Okay, I'm going to save it and run and show you the output. Right, here it is. So you can see in the select, we got HR sales because there are 4 rows in my Excel sheet. All the 4 rows department column values, those are the values it is. Ideally what we want is, we want to get the unique values here. Then we can utilize this for filtering the whole rows, then make the Excel sheet. So that's the plan. So for this, I'm going to add another compose. Then make it something like rename, call it as unique departments. Okay, so to make it unique, you need to use the union, and you need to have 2 array objects here. So collection 1, and that collection 1 is going to be my previous output here from the select, body of select from the previous one. Again, use the same one because it's the same array we want to compare it. Click OK that. Now I'm going to run it again and show you the output. Here it is. See, we got the unique values. So the next stage is, we are going to make the files first. Okay, so iterate this value, make hr.xlsx file, and same for the sales also, so that we get 2 separate Excel files. Then later on we can insert the relevant records into that. So edit. So for that, we need to iterate the values first, yeah, from the unique department. So for iterating, what we need to do here is, under the control, we need to go to the apply to each. Okay, under the apply to each, the output of the unique department. Then what we are going to do here is, we are going to add a create a file. So the next step is, we want to create a file now. Create file. Here it is. Create file in my OneDrive. Okay, in the folder path, I'm going to select the same path which I shown earlier for my list rows present in a table. That is a demo folder. Okay, that's the path I want. Now here, what I'm going to do here is, I want to get the file name. So when we iterate it, we know that we are going to get sales, then the HR. Yeah. So the technique here I'm going to use is item as an expression. That means it will give each file name in that, like sales or HR dot xlsx. Then the file content, remember the file content, this is where that is useful, the blank Excel content now. Okay, so find that output and look for the blank Excel content. That's the one we want to map here. Okay, so in this process, it will create separate files, but remember, these all are going to be blank files. Okay, now after that, initially I mentioned about, we need to create tables. So we create a blank Excel file now, like sales.xlx in this case, because we're iterating the unique department. Then the next one is hr. XLSX. Yeah. So to create that, for creating that, what we creating the table, we need to use create table. Here it is. Right, again select the location, either your SharePoint or OneDrive. You can use the same thing in one SharePoint as well. Okay, then my document library is going to be my OneDrive. Then here the file I'm going to refer is the create file ID. That's the ID I want. Then the table range. Remember, I got 4 columns there. So A, B, C, D. That means A1 colon D1. That's what we want. Then the table name we want. What's the table name we want to create with? So you can give a name, any name you want. You know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use again the expression, because we're iterating each unique departments. I'm going to call the table name exactly same as my Excel file sheet name. Yeah, so that is item. Here you can put any name. Yeah, I'm using an expression, that's all it is. The next thing I'm going to do here is I need all the values there, the column values, what I want. Here we go. ID, department, email, postcode. If you don't want the ID in the new file you're creating, is do not use it. So I'm going to use all the four columns from my parent worksheet from here. This one, list rows. Okay. So this is the way I'm going to create now. So after this process, I create my Excel, individual files now. After this, apply to each. Okay. So let's rename this to, or add a note. Create each department files. Remember, it's an empty file now. Okay, right, that's done. The next step, again, we need to iterate the output of that unique department. Then we are going to filter it. So again, under the control, go and find the apply to each. Then the unique department, we are going to iterate it. That's that output. There we go. That's output of the unique department. Then what we want to do here is I'm going to use the filter array now. That's my next aim here. So I'm going to use filter array. Here it is, the filter array. Again, I already got the values, all the values we want to filter against, filter from the original parent, the Excel sheet, which is the employee file. That is that. Then here I'm going to compare with my department. That's a filter. Is equal to the unique ID value we got from, that means it's sales or HR or whatever it is. So that is again using the expression called item. Place your cursor here, click OK. That's done. So that means we done that. The next is we need to insert the rows then individually into it. So before that, I want to know where the file location is we created earlier. Those sales.xls and the HR file. So for that, I'm going to add a compose, and I'm going to rename this file department Excel file location. Yep, that's good enough documentation there. /demo/ again, that expression I can use item, which will give me sales or HR, whatever that is, .xlsx. Here it is. That's the location. Okay. Now the final one is, remember we done the filter array here. So in this we got, we can have one record or more than one record. So we need to iterate those values and push that into the new file which we created earlier. Okay. So for that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use another apply to each. So under the control, apply to each. Right. And that's the body of the filter array. Okay. So search for body. So here we go. Body of the filter array here, this one. Okay. That is from this step. Now I'm ready to add the rows. So under the Excel one Excel connector, add rows into a table. Again, select the location, and that is OneDrive. Then the document library, that is again OneDrive. The location, see the file location, that's department Excel file location it is. So place your cursor here, add dynamic, okay, yeah, and place department Excel file location. Here we go, that's location, it is that. Now what is the what's the table? Remember the table we created same as the file name. So here again we are iterating, remember we still under this loop, we are iterating the unique department here, remember that. So that means we can use the table as the click on the enter the custom value, click on the expression and type item. Here it is. Yeah, so remember in this one here, I'll show you again, under the create table I use that item. That's the reason I'm using again here. Yeah, if you're using something like table or department, you can use the hard-coded value here, exactly the same name. Yeah, now the row. Okay, the row is the one what we need to do is under the row, press some enter keys first. We need to pass a JSON object here, something like this. So delete them on the lines now. Okay, and what we want is we want ID colon, then comma, 2 double quotes, and comma. I'll come back to that later. Then type department, again 2 double quotes, comma, and then next one is the email colon 2 double quotes, comma. Then finally postcode, 2 double quotes, no comma, because that's the last element. So like this is a JSON object. Yeah, then place your cursor inside the ID there. Then what we want is we want this coming from this ID here, this one here. So what we want to do here is we need to use, see under the filter item, we need to use let me have a look. So under here, yeah, so what we want is we want the expression and type items, because it's in the apply to each 3, so we need to use exactly the same as that. So double quotes, apply underscore to underscore each underscore 3. There we go, that's that. Then put the question mark and then put 2 double quotes and put the ID there and click OK that. Oops. Place your cursor here and click OK that. It says the expression is invalid. Let me think. Okay, I think instead of the double quotes, I think I need to use a single quotes, I think. Yeah, so that should be items bracket applied to each 3. This is the loop. Then we know there is an ID there from the column header name. Yeah, okay, that. Oh, it didn't copy that there for some reason. Let me paste it here again. Click OK that. Here we go, that's done. Yes. So the next one is a department. It's exactly the same thing. Remove the ID and call this as department. Make sure the column name should be the same as your Excel one. Yeah. Okay. Next one is the email. Cool. And the final one is the postcode. Here it is. So that's done now. So basically, I think we finished the build. So let's do it again. Let's have a look. So what we did here is we find the unique department. We created the individual files using the the create file, using that blank file content we put here initially. That's a big blob text here. This need to be exactly the same as what I shown earlier. You can't put any other characters or anything. Just use the same content, copy and paste. That's all it is. Yeah. Once it's done, then we need to iterate again the unique departments. Filtering against the department is equal to the each item, that is sales or HR or whatever it is coming from here. Then we set the location, then set the location of the file. Again, the table name, it's each item of that loop. Then put apply to each three, because it's in this, the property is called ID, then this and that. Yeah, that's it basically. So let me save this flow and run it. Okay. Right, looks like the flow ran successfully. So you can see like here, the unique departments we got is HR and sales. We are iterating each and creating different files. So you can see hr.xlx is created, the blank content there. Then click on the next one, that's a sales file. Here we go, that's done. Then the next apply to each, we are filtering with the department with each one. The first one I got it blank actually. I'm not sure why. I need to go and have a look at that. That's not quite right. I was suspecting it. Oh, again here it's got blank also. So that means it's something not quite right. Let me investigate this. Okay, so there are some changes I did. Let's plan it now. So finally, the flow ran successfully and I have created 3 different files. I'll show you that. Here we go. That's sales and HR. I need to change the department to just some other names, because when I rerun the flow, it was getting locked up. That's quite a natural error you're getting out of the box. You always see that kind of error when you use the same Excel sheet trying to write again, then it gets locked up. So after a few minutes only, you can run the flow again. So that's so for that, what I did is in my employee.xls file, I just changed my department name. So here it is. So I just changed that to TSTS. So it should, that's created with. So what we should be able to say is ID number 1 record, ID number 3 record should be in the t.xl file. Then s.xl file, it should be 2 and 4. Yeah. Okay, so let me open the s.xls file. Here it is. You can see 2 and 4. That's S, department S. It's filtered and it's created with a separate file. Next is next department, that is t.xlsx. Just open that. Here you can see ID 1 and the third record, 1 and the third 2 records. That is filtered by department T then. Yeah. The only reason I changed it is because the resource getting locked up by the Power Automate. That's the reason I had to change to a different name here. That's all it is. Yeah. Now I'll explain what change I did to remove that error. Okay, so here what I did is I added a combos called each department, and here I put the expression as item. Yeah, item expression here. That is a current item. Yeah. So that's the expression you need to add here under that. Then what I did is under my table, I need to use output of each department from the output here. For some reason, when I put the item here, it didn't work as expression. It could be the data type issues, I think. I'm not really sure. So that's a fix I did. So remember, under the last apply to each, I added a combos, each department, put the current item, then place the current item here. under the table. Yeah, the file name, which is the file location, which is the department file location, that's fine. Yeah, that's another compose also here. So that's the way I removed that error. I really don't know why it is complaining about I can't use as the item as an expression here. I'm not really sure why it is here. So just to final recap, what we did here is we filtered the records and using the select. Before that, we put the blank Excel content using the technique I shown earlier. Then selecting the department only here. Then finding the unique departments, iterating the unique department here. Then creating each file. Once it's done, put the table range and the table name as the item, which is the current item. That's the expression you need to use here. Then put the columns you want to create. So ID, department, email, and postcode in my case. Once that's done, all the files are created. Then the second apply to each is again iterate the same unique departments. Get each item, then filter the item array. Then department Excel location, put the location using again the item expression here. Then finally, we need to get the filter array from the output of the body of the filter array. That is that. Then under the add a row, we need to map the file name. Then the table name again, we need to use, you can't use the expression here for some reason. We need to use this, the compose output of each department, which is the item. Then map the, the row, the JSON object finally. Yep. Here it is. Hope this is useful. Thank you for watching.